Me Live. My name is Anthony,
I'm Gabby.
and we are voice actors. Today is the 12th of August. We're almost halfway through August, Gabby.
Ew,
Cray
I
cray.
don't like that.
We, as always, love it if you hit that like and subscribe button,
Mm-hmm,
hit that
mm-hmm,
bell
mm-hmm,
notification,
mm-hmm.
hit all so that every time we go live, we can be like, hello,
So
we are
we can
live.
live in your inbox. Yes.
Watch us. And it is also we have a live chat.
Mm-hmm.
So when you come in, say hello, put your comment, tell us where you're from, and ask us any questions. All right.
All about the questions.
Gabby.
Picking up our discussion from yesterday.
Yes, we are picking up
Mm.
our discussion. We are discussing e-learning
All the e-learning
and
things. Yeah.
where to find them.
Mm-hmm.
These
Mm-hmm.
elusive
Mm.
e-learning bunnies. Where do we find them?
That's it's funny you say it that way because they're not that elusive, right? They're,
They're
I
out
think
in plain sight.
they kind of are. I mean, I think that it seems a little daunting because people go, "Oh my God, it's such a big area." Yeah. All right.
Okay.
So let's kind of break it down. Who are e-learning clientele? Where are they? So first, I think the biggest category is companies that create e-learning for other companies.
Right.
This is a whole industry.
Massive.
Uh, it's huge, and it's literally nothing but companies who create educational content for other people. Find them, you find the work.
Hmm.
That's one of the easiest ways. Did you know that there's even an e-learning, like, I don't want to call it a guild, but like a club? Yeah. Yeah, there's like organizations that basically, support the e-learning industry. Yeah, it's crazy. And online education and all of that. And you can join those, you can get on various web directories. That's a great way to kind of get yourself out there in front of these people. Um, of course, there are publishers
Hmm. Hmm.
who deal solely in education. And
Mm.
this is, I don't know about how you see it, Anthony, but I feel like it's the wave of the future for education. Like, who wants to read a textbook when they can hear the textbook? And there are so many topics that are now being, they're not replacing educators, but they're an add on, right? And they're assisting educators in covering more ground. And so I don't know, can you speak to that from the education standpoint of audiobook publishing for education?
Yeah. So perfect example is literature,
Mm,
and what educational places still want us to learn, or students to learn about literature, for example, and authors, and history, historical pieces.
oh yeah.
But a lot of students today, as well as teachers, right, they are moving towards audio, especially because, and this is, I mean, okay, so part of this is great for us. Part of this is also kind of sad in some ways, but we don't
Mm,
read as much. Kids don't read as much just from books, right? I mean,
I
they,
know they
when
don't.
they have all the materials they need online, and also because of
Very true.
AI now, all of it can be synthesized. It can be summarized. It can be
Yeah.
done, instantly for them. And so they, so reading, unfortunately, is not, regular reading is not necessarily as big a thing. However,
Mm,
right, the
that does make
literature
some
is still
sense.
assigned. These things are still done. So, you know, audiobooks play a big role, and big companies have really big companies have signed on for this. For example, like YouTube, and a lot of these places have educate, like YouTube has an educational YouTube that is actually uh, tries to partner with schools and school districts in order to offer educational material. So
I didn't
much,
know that.
yeah, so much of our many of our audiobooks and stuff,
That's so cool.
We go through YouTube to and they share and with educational, so like schools and things, and they'll sign on, because what happens is um when you're in a school, because this was way back when I was teaching 10
Mm.
years ago. um we want to use YouTube video. We want to use YouTube. We want to use these online sources, but the ads and the searchability, right, cause problem for kids, right? Because we don't
Oh,
want them
okay.
watching ads and all this kind of stuff, or marketing to the kids. And two, kids are
Right.
kids. So they'll do
They'll
stuff.
wander.
They'll do kid stuff, right? So, anyways,
Hmm.
the point is YouTube's okay. Well, we want to create something that will allow education, schools and things to use YouTube, but not have all these other things a part of it. Do you know what I mean? Or so they have subscription services that they can use for schools, and YouTube actually has like a YouTube education. So a lot of most of all of the revenue and everything through Academy Voices that we generate through YouTube comes through the educational YouTube. Whatever it's YouTube Educate, I
Huh.
don't remember the name of it, but it's facilities, and it's funny because as we get closer to school, all of our numbers are starting to go back up, right? They're like tripling again, because when school goes back on, we, a lot of all of our books and our literature that we have up there, right,
Yeah.
is audiobooks, is being viewed by kids in school who have assignments, where they got to read like Frankenstein, or they got to read like, they
Wow.
could choose, Pride and Prejudice, these types of things. So that, just that in itself, right, serves as a lot of things. And textbooks, right, has been another wave, more so too, especially for inclusive types of, really helping children who learn differently.
Thank you. And
There's
that's
a
I
lot
was
of that, more
just
so
about
now,
to say
targeting
that.
those.
Yeah, the resources now for
Mhm,
kids with dyslexia, ADHD, any
mhm.
neurodivergent path.
It's a very audio based.
One of my best friends, who is the most well-read human I've ever met, can't read a book.
Oh, I love it.
He's dyslexic. He's
Yeah.
severely dyslexic and he cannot read. But he absorbs more audiobooks than anybody I've ever known. It's amazing. And
Hmm.
he's super well read. So it's such a
Oh yeah.
different time.
Well, it is, and it's finally a understanding of the fact that we knew for a long time that people learn differently.
Mhm. Mhm.
Some people are visual learners, some
Yeah.
people are audio learners, some
Mhm.
people are tactile, or like we all learn different
Right.
ways. You know what I mean? And but technology wasn't really able
Mm-mm.
to facilitate, or no, everyone did not own a cell phone.
Yeah.
Although there have been, there that's a constant kind of battle here or there now, because of how much. But the point is that we live in a time now where
Mhm.
this is a big push, and it will continue to be
It
more,
will.
especially as AI comes more part of. Whereas people aren't saying, well, you can't write a paper with AI. Now we want you to write the paper with AI, but come in and defend it, right?
Mm.
Defend what is put down there. Be able to critically think what you've been,
Right.
and then tell me the why you agree or disagree with this. There's always because in the end, right?
There's
I mean, it's
workarounds.
about critical thinking.
Right.
I mean, at least we hope it is.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
just about the blatant writing.
Hmm.
So, anyways, but yeah,
Oh,
there's a lot out there,
such
and
a
that's
great point.
the scratch in the surface. That's not targeting actually companies. So you remember the textbook companies. That's a extremely massive business, right? Like beyond massive.
But understanding the pathway
Mm,
and understanding the application, the usage, the from recording to consumer, right? It's huge for any industry. If we don't comprehend that, we can never find where those clients exist. So I
absolutely.
think this is really valuable insight.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the other thing that I think is important to note here is that many of the e-learning companies that have a stronghold in e-learning and voiceover, they're overseas. There's a ton of them in India and the Philippines, countries where English is obviously like a second language, if not a first. And yeah, there's a lot that can be sought out there as well. Now the rates might be interesting, but some of them are definitely viable. And I think it's important to note that with a lot of this training, once you get in, you're in a very unique position because once a company has decided on a voice to be their
Right.
teacher, to be that representative, they're locked in. So are you.
Right.
They're not going to change it. Um,
Right.
and because then they would have to change all the modules and all the, so it can be a very, very consistent form of work in the right setting. Um,
Absolutely.
there's also the internal corporate HR component of e-learning, which does a lot of it does get farmed out to e-learning companies, like I was talking about the providers, but some companies are now doing it in-house. It's
Hmm.
becoming a function of their marketing department
Yes.
to create internal training and employee training and staff training. And again, big business. There's so much. Um, I'm always a believer that on the corporate side, and this is kind of funny, at the end of the year, because we're coming up on fourth quarter, people kind of scramble because in business, the rule with budgeting and with funding is use it or lose it,
Hmm.
right? So if in fourth quarter a marketing department has an excess budget of some sort that they haven't utilized, if they want to be able to justify that expense the next year and have those funds,
Right.
they have to figure out a way to use it. And training is one of the ways that they will, yeah, eat up those budgets. So that can be really good.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Professor Tracy had a question. What
Uh,
is the path to get the job for the person who announces the stops on a train? All right. That can vary. I mean, typically what you're talking about is a metro system. And so trains, buses, right, anything transportation related, it is there's two divisions that typically handle it in my experience. So one is the transit authority for that particular locale, and the other is it could also be handled by their tourism and travel department, or it could be a joint effort between the two. So you get in with either of those and you typically find that. The only problem with that kind of stuff is like once it's done, it's done. It doesn't change very often. They don't update it very often. And so, I'm a kid who grew up with the New York City subways. And that was what the subway system sounded like. Now you get on a New York City subway and it's like, change at Jamaica. You're like, what? What happened to this? Why is this so great?
oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's very funny. But yes, but those are some of the ways there.
Yeah, I think so. I've had a variety of different situations where I've come across transit things.
Mm,
So, for example, I remember it's not just being on the like what you were saying, but you also can a lot of states, cities, locales will
yes.
create promotions, will create public announcements that go with it. So I did a whole thing for I think it was Austin, Texas, where they were rolling out a new Sun card or something for the bus line,
Oh,
and
nice.
that actually came through a pay to play site,
Huh,
for that job. But
that's great.
then switching to something similar, just a bus in the sky. So for
Mm,
airplanes, right? I was contacted directly two different and here's something you might know. A lot of the places there's also unions, or not just unions but associations that
mm-hmm,
represent, like, for example, flight attendants
mm-hmm,
or drivers or whatever, and they
mm-hmm.
also have, like, so the airports. So that's a lot of their stuff in the airports that they will put out. There's a lot of training for that's another thing to get in. Flight attendants, pilots, there's a lot of training
Yeah.
constantly. They have to constantly be doing online training, kind of like we all do. So I wasn't aware, just because I wasn't, of the different associations. That's also a part of trans transportation, that
Mm-hmm.
that also produce this content. There's so much e-learning content that's produced across the board on all kinds of things.
Oh, yeah. I
Uh,
think any
yeah.
industry it's such a good point. Any industry that has ongoing certification
Hmm.
or certification renewals
Oh yeah.
or, that's regulated, oy, their training demands are super, super high. And I mean, there's stuff we don't even think about that falls into this category. And so it's really worth, I think talking to friends and
Hmm.
family and sort of opening up, your scope of knowledge on these things. Real estate agents constantly having to
Mm.
relicense. Even things like, you wouldn't think of plumbers, electricians. One of the weirdest ones I had no idea. I found out about it recently. Pool certifications. If
Mm.
you have to be certified to maintain a public pool. And there's a whole
Hmm.
bunch of training that goes into
Well,
that.
that's a, I was just thinking that's gonna, I mean, that's probably really growing too, because I
Yeah,
think as housing and everything continues to be, just really hard, expensive for people to get,
for
more
sure.
people are, there's more communities that are putting in pools, like it's more, like my grandparents or my wife's parents, excuse me, moved into community. They have a
Mm,
pool, they have playgrounds. I mean, it's a big, for all kinds of, I mean, for young families, everybody. Anyways,
oh my
point is that
yeah.
they put in that pool. A lot of places are
Hmm.
putting in these things. It's becoming more. I think I didn't even know though you had to be certified, have a
Yeah,
certification to clean public
it's
pools.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, there's just so much stuff. And so the more we look at the
Oh
world
yes,
from that
compliance.
lens.
Oh yeah, sorry, it was a
Yeah, I know I
compliance
read
training. Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Compliance training for the construction industry, big
Oh yeah.
market. Yeah, it's always updating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, being an inspector, a housing inspector, huge, huge. Yeah. So there's, it's more than just that big picture of what we think of as education,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's, I think, the shift in mentality that people have to have towards it to really have an eye for these kinds of things. And I think under the right circumstance, if you approach a company, like I even look at things like because it's really big here in the South, right? Concealed carry and people getting, permitted for firearms, things like that. I mean, there's so many opportunities to help a company convert some of their education into a more digital evergreen thing. Yeah, big
No,
business.
totally.
Yeah.
Um, so I think, if you, one is the knowledge,
Hmm.
right? One is knowing, because knowing is half the battle, as they used to say, and GI Joe.
Still
Um,
true.
but it really is like knowing all these things we were talking about, just knowing where to go,
Yeah.
okay, who to contact, who to begin to reach out to. And that's and also here's another thing too. I find that having this information allows you also to put this on your website, right?
Mm.
Even write little articles about it, reaching out, besides just the emailing and calling or reaching out to these places, because these places are also searching. They're going to go and search online too.
Yeah.
And they're going to look for specific people who have, train. I mean, they will type in their industry, like, voiceover for, you know, um, pool certification,
Yeah.
okay, and they're, what I mean. So having the knowledge allows you then to put it out there that you are aware
Yes.
of these things and that you are will you can help and you can do it. That's really important. I see a lot of people put their stuff out there, but it's just like, I'll do any there. It's so vague
Vague.
that
Yes.
you have to
Yes.
understand, no one's searching vague things, and if they do, I promise you, you and I will not come up first.
Bravo. That is
Right.
so true. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Hmm.
That's brilliant advice. Yeah. Oh,
Well,
cool.
you guys, we have Trace said properly disposing of the floating candy bar. Well, on that note,
Oh dear.
yes, yes. Absolutely. So I think, this is such a good topic, I think, because
Mm-hmm.
people really, e-learning, corporate, I know so many people who want to really be active in this
Yeah.
space,
Yeah.
but they get discouraged, I think, because of, I personally, because of this very thing we spoke about, and that is the general knowledge of all
Mm,
of these things, and then how to go about building your, as Gabby likes to say, your presentation, your, forward face to
yeah.
these organizations.
Mm,
Here's another interesting one too. I had a student, we went after colleges
mm,
and universities, and we were targeting them, trying to find people in the departments and stuff like that. But see, here's the thing. So we learned that those people that we were sending out to, professors and stuff, they were not the people to go after for e-learning.
no, but the admissions department and yeah,
Right. So
the,
so the
the,
point I bring up here is that part of all of this too is trial and error, right? You're trying out stuff, you're trying to find people stuff, and don't look at, or at least my advice to you is, don't look at, you know, potential it didn't work out
mm,
as a failure, right? It's that whole thing. I know they said it in the movie too, but the Edison and the light bulb,
mm-hmm.
I didn't
Right.
I
I
didn't I
learned,
didn't I didn't, fail thousands of times. I just found thousands of ways not to do it, but I only
yeah,
needed to find one way to do it. Because, if you look at it that way, it really changes, how your outcome is, as
it does.
opposed to trying it and not working out that one thing, and you're like, that's it, I quit.
Right.
Sorry about my dogs, everybody.
It's
Somebody
fine.
must be dropping off something.
It's
Good
Amazon.
gracious. All right. Well,
All
on
right.
that
Well,
note,
on that note,
it's the alarm. The alarm to call it a day. Well, thank you all so much for being with us today. And we will be back tomorrow. And see you all then.
hi guys.
Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye.